Okay, so the next topic is receipt creation, receipt application, and its type. And we are also going to cover receipts reversal during the same. Starting with the receipts creation part. Receipts are created in one of the three ways. One is the manual receipts, spreadsheet receipts, and automatic receipts. Within manual receipts also, there are three types of receipts. One is the standard receipt, the other one is miscellaneous receipt, and the third one is logbox receipts. And when I talk about manual receipts, I purely am talking about the fact that we are manually creating a receipt, we are manually applying that particular receipt onto a transaction or a customer account. The second one is spreadsheet receipts. Spreadsheet receipts is nothing else but you using an Excel spreadsheet to create maybe one or more receipts in the system. And here also you can go ahead and use a standard receipt. You can create a miscellaneous receipts. Now, what is a standard receipt? What is a miscellaneous receipt? Is something that we would discuss at the end of this particular slide. And the third one is logbox receipts. All these three types of receipts can be done in spreadsheet mode. And the last one is automatic receipts. Automatic receipts is automatically creating a batch of receipts from customer transactions for payments such as credit cards or bank account transfers. So you would want to automatically create those receipts in the system as a part of automatic receipts. So the third one is automatic receipts, which we eventually use when we receive credit card transactions in bulk or bank account transfers in bulk that we would want to create as a particular receipt. Talking about manual receipts, as I said, there are two types over here. One is the standard and the other one is miscellaneous. Now, when I talk about standard receipts are nothing else but cash receipts or payments such as cash or check that you receive from customers for goods or services. Whereas miscellaneous receipts are those receipts that um, you would want to key it in the system as a part of revenue that we had earned or as a part of investment interest. Basically, miscellaneous receipt by the name itself, it is like it is not um, tagged to a particular customer. It could be any miscellaneous amount that I have received. I don't know the details, and I've just received those information as a part of miscellaneous amount, and maybe that is the place and that is the time wherein I would eventually key that information as a part of miscellaneous receipt. And the third one is logbox. As I said, I would there is one dedicated slide for logbox, so we discussed logbox receipts in that particular slide. Okay, there are few key terms that I would want you to pay attention to, because this is something that you would eventually hear as and when we go forward in this particular section. And they are as follows. So once a receipt is created in the receivables module, okay, depending upon the customer and the application status, receipts are classified into some types. I understand that this particular types that you are right now seeing will not make sense, but as and when you go through the screenshots and as and when you see the details in the system, maybe it would start making sense to you. But just pay acute attention to the key terms that are specified here. The first one is unidentified receipts. So in our previous slide, we saw that there are ways to create receipts. You can create receipts either manually, you can create receipts either using spreadsheet, you can create receipts either using an automatic process. Now in that also we saw that there are two types of receipts eventually. One is standard receipts which you would use to make your cash or good services payment, and one is miscellaneous receipts which you would use to make any miscellaneous types of payment. And these details are covered in the next slide when we see the receipt screen in the system, that how and where you would select a standard or a miscellaneous receipt. But when a receipt is created, be it standard, be it miscellaneous, all those receipts balances, the amount that are residing in the receipts module, they are classified under one of these types: unidentified receipt, unapplied receipt, applied receipt, on account receipt. Unidentified receipt is nothing else but a receipt where we are not aware about a particular customer. So it may happen that I've received a particular sum, right? And I don't know this particular amount is against which particular customer. So now you would say that this could be a miscellaneous receipt also, but here I have an hope that some or the other day maybe I would be able to find that particular customer. So till then, if I do not input any customer information in the system, and if I go ahead and create a particular receipt of the type standard, then that particular receipt is tagged as unidentified receipt. So every line that you see here, unidentified, unapplied, applied, on account, has a specific accounting entry associated with it. So you can give an accounting entry code combination to unidentified receipt. You can give an account information tag to unapplied receipt. You can give an account tag to applied receipts, and you can give a specific natural account tag to on account receipt. So as and when you create those type of receipt, your balances will start showing up in the similar way. So at the end of the month, if I want to identify how much of balance is lying in my unidentified receipt, maybe I can run this unidentified receipt report, or maybe I can query the balances on an account which was tagged to an unidentified receipt, and I'll come to know that these are the balances that are still lying in my unidentified receipts, which is the amount that I've received against an unknown customer. The second one is unapplied receipts. Unapplied receipts is nothing else but it sort of system knows that I have received this amount, but I have not applied this on a particular account or on a particular customer. So just that I've received this amount, I have identified the customer also, but I have not applied this particular amount onto any invoices, which is called as unapplied receipt. Now this is the most common type of receipt, or the most common type of information which you would find when you would try to key in a particular receipt using a valid customer information. So in your hands-on sessions, if you try to create a receipt, a normal receipt manually, such that you're keying in the customer information and you're keying in the receipt amount, the first state in which you would see that particular receipt would be an unapplied. You would see that that particular amount, if you've created a receipt of say $100, then you would see that that $100 is lying under an unapplied amount, because it because according to the system you have not applied that $100 on any invoices, or you've not tag that particular receipt amount to any invoices, and until and unless you do that, it would stay there in an unapplied status or in an unapplied account. The third one is very simple, very opposite to that of your unapplied receipt. The third one is the applied receipt. So it may happen that you have now you created a receipt. This was an unapplied status, but you know that I have received this particular money against a so and so invoice and against an XX invoice. So when you would tell the system that this information or this money that I had received is against an XX invoice, and you enter the invoice details also onto that particular system, then suddenly the status of that particular receipt would change, and you would see that the amount is shifting from your unapplied state to that of your applied state. So you would suddenly come to know that the invoice $100 was unapplied, now the $100 is applied. Now we also discussed in our initial slide about a partial payment, if you guys remember. So what would happen in case of partial payment? And I would want you all to do this as a part of your hands-on sessions, and try a partial payment. So when you want to try a partial payment, what you can do is you can try to create an invoice of say $100. Then you create a receipt manually of $50 or say $40 for that matter. So when you initially create a $40 receipt, you would see that $40 is in unapplied state. Now, okay, I'm so sorry. First, what you would do is you would create an invoice of say $100, and you create a receipt. Yeah, you create a receipt of $40. Now, it could happen that one is that you apply that $100 receipts to your $40 receipts, and the other case would be you are only wanting to partially apply that particular invoice, or say you create a receipt of not $40, but let's try and create a receipt of $140, assuming that we've received more cash. I've received $140 from my user. My invoice of was of $100. I applied that particular $100 on my $140 cash receipt. Now what happens? My $100 is paid off, which means my applied amount is 100. My 40 is still extra, right? I had received 40 extra. Now why I received those 40 extra is something that maybe we can get in touch with customer, or the receivables accountant will get in touch with customer. If it was really an extra money that we had received, maybe he would want to refund that money. But your status of the receipt would be your $100 would get applied, which means that your invoice is closed now. Balance $40 would stay as unapplied. So within a particular receipt, you would see two lines there. $100 would be applied, and still that receipt would not be closed. The status of the receipt would still be open, because you would still see that there are more $40 which was not applied on any invoice, and that would remain under the unapplied receipt section that we just discussed. So that is the meaning of applied and unapplied. As soon as you apply a particular invoice on a particular receipt, it would change that how much ever amount you apply, that amount would shift under the applied section, and whichever amount is left unapplied would sit under the unapplied section. And the fourth one is on account receipt, which says the status of payment on which you apply all or part of its amount to customer without reference to a specific debit item. Now, it could happen that um, I'm currently not wanting to apply it on a particular invoice. So in that case, I would it's like I'm holding that amount within a particular account. So, and I don't want to keep it as unapplied also. I just want to hold that particular amount, stating that I will apply it, but I don't want to show it in my balances that it's still unapplied. Then in that case, I would shift that particular amount to an on account receipt. The status of payment of which you apply or part of its amount to a customer without a reference to a specific debit item. So I'm not wanting to show it as an unapplied amount, I'm not wanting to apply it also, but I would want to hold that amount for a specific reason, for a specific purpose, and hence I'm shifting it to a particular account called as an on account account. And there is a way to perform all these transactions. Of course, this is which we will see in our next slide, but this is just a term that I would want you to note, that there is one more type of receipt called as an on account receipt, wherein which you can hold that money instead, neither applying it onto a particular invoice nor keeping it as unapplied. And the last one is prepayment receipt. So payment in which you record the entire amount as settlement for one or more prepayment transactions. So this is not something that we widely use. However, if there are any payments that you're doing against a prepayment transaction that you had created in the invoices when you were creating a transaction, then that particular receipt is termed as a prepayment receipt. So again, I am reiterating in case I'm going too fast. I'm reiterating all the terms. Unidentified receipt is when you're not keying in any customer onto that particular receipts. Unapplied receipt is when you are not applying any invoices on that particular receipt. You've entered the customer information, you have entered all the information, but you have not applied or you've not entered the invoice information. So that is when your receipt would be under the unapplied receipt status. Applied receipt is when you apply a particular invoice and you're telling the system that yes, I received $50 and this $50 is against this particular invoice, so you're giving the invoice details there. So then that particular information is going to be updated as a part of applied receipt. On account receipt is when I neither want to apply it onto a particular invoice nor I would want to keep that as an unapplied part. So I would want to hold that particular amount in a particular account, then I would on account it. There's a specific process to push the balance from unapplied to on account. But yeah, when you try to push that particular balance from unapplied to on account, that particular process is called as on account receipt. The status of that payment would change to on account. And prepayment is when you're trying to settle your prepayment transactions as that of your invoices. Now I'll go to the next slide. Next slide is about you creating a receipt manually in the system. So if you go through and maybe after we get into the system and check in detail of how this thing happens as a part of either our hands-on sessions or our poses session. But when you click on the receipt section or the receipt work area and you say create receipts, this is the page that would open up. And there were two things that we initially discussed when the session, when this particular topic started, was the receipt type. And we discussed that there are two types of receipts in the system. One is a standard receipt and the other one is a miscellaneous receipt. Standard receipts are used for goods and cash purposes, and miscellaneous receipts are used for your investment returns and stock holdings and any miscellaneous amount that you would want to capture, or miscellaneous details that you would want to capture. So this is the place where you would eventually go and key in your receipt type. So it's an LOV. You would select if you would want to create a standard receipt or a miscellaneous receipt. So here if you see this receipt type is selected as standard, which means that we are telling the system that we are creating a standard receipt. The status is right now new because you are newly creating a receipt. This is the business unit. So every transaction that you're doing it in the system is against a business unit. So in your enterprise structure discussion, you would have seen that we've got ledger, we've got legal entity, and then we've got business units associated against every ledger. And business unit is a unit in which all transactions happen at sub ledger level. So all your GL transactions are happening at ledger level. However, all your sub ledger transactions or your operating unit is nothing else but your business unit. So we've selected one business unit. We've selected a receipt method. What is a receipt method? Again, we discuss this in detail when we go to our key configuration, but receipt method is eventually a place wherein which you can specify if it's a cash or if it's a check. So all those methods, like I am receiving this in money as a part of cash, but I'll have to define a particular method there. So all those methods we will key in as a part of our configuration. If I'm receiving a money as a part of a particular check from a particular bank account, then all those details I will key in receipt method, and those details would be available as a part of list of values. Receipt number, again receipt number is it's basically we can key that in manually, or receipt numbers could automatically come up as a part of our setup. So most of the times we key in the receipt number manually, depending upon whatever the receipt number is, and this is usually the check number that we go ahead and key in as a part of the check transactions. And receipt number for automatic receipts come from document sequencing for receipt method, but we can even configure a receipt number to automatically start shooting like 1 2 3 as and when new receipts are created in the system. The receipt number would keep changing, so that is handled as a part of our receipt method setup. We'll select the currency. So if at all I'm receiving a particular money in a particular currency details, and I'll select that currency in the list of values. Okay, I will select the remittance bank. Remittance bank is the bank where where the money is going to get remitted. I will key in the details, like I will key in by default the day when you create the receipt, all those details would automatically pop up there. But eventually, if you want to key in details, like if you want to key in the maturity details or the payment term details, you can key that in, or the deposit date, you can key that or update those dates manually. So these are the dates section. um, Customer information, as I said, when you create a receipt you would want to input that I received this particular money against this particular customer. So all those customer details, which is the name, if you know the name you key in the name by clicking on the search icon. If you don't know the name, if you know the account number, you key in the account number. You have the search tiles, which system will, wherein which you have an option to select that particular customer or select that particular account number from the system. So you're selecting this particular customer here. So this way, I mean, if I fill in all the information, and the main thing over here is the receipt amount. How much money have I received from a particular customer? This information I will key in over here in the receipts amount section. As soon as I save this particular screen, then you would see if that particular amount is applied or unapplied. But this is the way you go ahead and create a receipt manually. You'd go to create receipts task under the receipts work area, and click on create receipt, select the receipt type as standard, fill in these details, click on save, which means that you've created a particular receipt manually. Yes. So this is how your screen would look like. Forget this particular part, but then under receivables module there are two sections. One is billing, one is accounts receivables. If you note the place where I'm hovering my mouse, one is billing and the other one is accounts receivables. In the billing section, you would go ahead and create transactions. In the accounts receivable section, you would go ahead and create receipts. So as I said, As soon as you click on accounts receivable, this is the tile that would open up for you. Create receipts would take you to this particular screen, and create receipts using spreadsheet will open this particular spreadsheet. Now for this particular spreadsheet to open up, if you see this seems very this spreadsheet is like, it seems like a normal spreadsheet, but then there are some add-in activities that you will have to do in this particular spreadsheet. For this to open, there are some add-ins that you will have to install from the application for this particular spreadsheet to open up. Okay, and as I said, there are three ways to create spreadsheet. There are three ways to create receipts. One was manually, which we just discussed here. You click on create receipts, you create receipts manually, which is the first one. The second one is create receipts in spreadsheet. When you click on that, this Excel sheet opens. You input these details, same details which was there when you were creating receipts manually. It's just that it's in the spreadsheet. It's in the spreadsheet format. You enter the sequence number, you enter the receipt number, receipt amount, receipt date, accounting date, and so on and so forth. And when you click on say upload, it would get uploaded in the system. And the third one is automatic receipt. We may not go through in detail about the automatic receipt, but yes, automatic receipts are also created specifically when we have credit card transactions and when we have bank account transfer related transactions to be created in the system. That time we'll make use of automatic receipts, but this is again sort of a spreadsheet receipts only, which would automatic, you key in the data there and the system will automatically create receipts for you. Okay, so this particular information right here is saying that you're creating receipts without customer or transaction details. So we just saw there were two processes. We created receipts using spreadsheet, we created receipts manually. We'll also see logbox in one of our topics, but there were few receipt type balances that we went through. One which was unidentified, one was unapplied, one was applied, one was on account. So we are going to see how this unapplied, how this unidentified thing happens. So as soon as you create a particular receipt manually also, let's go and discuss about how things happen manually first. So if I create a receipt manually, which was this particular screen, and how did I come to this particular screen? I clicked on this create receipts, I clicked on account receivables, this task came up, I clicked on create receipt, and this page would come up. And when we enter all the information here, you click on save. As soon as you click on save, you would get a screen which would look like this. Now if you see this receipt is called as an unidentified receipt, which means that when the receipt was created, there was no customer information keyed in there. The user only keyed in the business unit, the receipt type, the receipt method, the receipt number, and the amount and the currency. He did not key in the customer information, he did not key in the application, and that's the reason why this particular receipt, if you see all the points that we just discussed, total applied amount, on account amount, unidentified amount, is visible here. So if at all you try to create a receipt wherein which you're not keying in any customer information, then that particular amount would automatically, as soon as you save the receipt, that particular information would automatically sit under unidentified amount. Make sense? So if you see there's no customer information, there's no application details also, it is sitting under unidentified amount, because we have not keyed in any customer information. The second part, and the most interesting part and the most common part of the entire receipt process, is unapplied account. Now if you see, we've created the customer, or maybe it's the same receipt which was edited. Now what we did was we entered the customer details here. So suddenly what happens, as soon as you enter the customer details and you click on save, suddenly the this particular amount would shift, unidentified would go away. It would be placed on unapplied amount, which is like this is not applied to any of the invoices. So this would be sitting under unapplied account and it is called unapplied amount. So 13.56 not applied to any of the invoices, hence it is parked under unapplied. The other one was applied, so it just, this particular receipt means I've received cash against this particular customer, but I have not applied it onto any particular invoice, so it's sitting under unapplied amount. The third one is applied amount. So as soon as I tell the system that it's created in the same way, I have the receipt information, I have the amount information, I keyed in the customer information. Now I also know that I've received this money against a particular transaction, against a transaction that is residing in the system. Then what I'll do is I'll click on add application and I'll select the transaction number 31 757 is mine. Basically it's my transaction number also, and it's eventually keyed in here as the receipt number also. But maybe when I click on add transaction, system will allow me to search that particular transaction in the system, and if I search that particular transaction in the system, and if I get a particular transaction for the same customer, I selected this particular transaction and the transaction was 13, the transaction also was costed at 13.56. So whoever created this transaction, the amount of the transaction was also 13.56, and now the amount due on that particular transaction is 0, and you see that this has moved from unapplied to that of applied. Now there was one scenario that we had discussed, that assuming that my receipt would have been of 140 USD dollars, USD dollars, and my transaction was say of 13.56. Okay, so what would have happened in the system if I would have put my receipt amount as 140, but my transaction that I have applied is 13.56. In this case, what would have happened is my transaction would have got closed. 13.56 is the transaction, and amount due would have been 0. However, my a total amount applied would also have been 13.56, because I've applied an invoice of 13.56, but because my receipt was of say 140 or 150 for that matter, my unapplied amount would have been 150 minus 13.56. So that remaining balance would have sat here under unapplied amount. Now this could be either an amount that I have received extra as a part of receipt payment, and maybe I want to give that money back to the customer because I had received that money extra. In that case, what I'll do is I'll process refund, and refund is another activity that we'll learn as and when we go forward. But yeah, that is one of the processes, that anything that is in unapplied, uh, we can either wait to receive, we can either wait that some or the other invoices can get created in the system and we can settle that particular money against the same customer against a different invoice that was created in the system, or we can return that money back to the customer. So that is nothing else but the unapplied amount, and that is how the amount can eventually shift from unapplied to applied. It's just not that it's either 0 or something. Some amount can sit under unapplied, some amount can sit under on account, some amount can sit under applied amount, and I would really urge you all to do all this kind of POCs in your hands-on session as and when you create receipts in the system. Try to create a transaction, try to create a receipt in the system with a greater amount or with a less amount, and see how the application works like in the system. So this is what we've discussed about the applied amount. Yeah. So that is it. The next topic here is receipt reversal, and it is very sort of an easy topic, that as and when you create a receipt, and it may happen that you created a receipt, you even applied that, but then you created that manually, and now you would want to revert the transactions altogether. So there is an option to reverse a particular receipt. There is also an option to delete a particular receipt. So if you see, all these options would come under this actions section. However, you can delete a particular receipt if it is not posted to GL, and you can reverse a particular receipt once it is posted to GL. So you created a receipt, you put the accounting entries to GL module by running create accounting. Now you don't have any other option. Now if you cannot delete, its system will not allow you to delete that particular receipt, because you've already sent the entries to general ledger module. So what you can do is you can reverse that particular receipt. So when you reverse a receipt, AR automatically creates a reversal journal entries in GL, and it reopens all debit and credit items that were closed by the receipt. So all your credit and debit transactions would get switched or would get reversed. And if at all you would have applied a particular transaction onto a receipt, that would also get reversed basically. And the status of that receipt would also change to reverse. Reversal is an activity that you would do when you have posted in a receipts entry to GL. Now you don't want to delete that particular receipt, because you cannot delete a receipt because it's the accounting entries are already gone to general ledger module. So the only option that remains with you is you would have to, you don't want that receipt, you will have to reverse that particular receipt. So you'll identify the receipt that you would want to reverse firstly, then you would go to actions and then click on reverse. So this is the same actions that I just spoke, and then you would click on reverse. You put the comments there, you put the details there that you would want to reverse this to this particular date, or would this is the reason. So there would be one box that would appear on the screen, wherein which you would select the category, you would select the reason, and then you put the comments if any, and then click on submit, and that entire receipt would get reversed. Now you can post that particular entries back to general ledger module, and that is how your reversal process would eventually end. And that is the end of this particular topic also.